Hey guys, it's Kevin, your visa guy here in the Philippines. Today we will be answering 10 SRV questions that I received in the past few weeks. The SRV is a retirement visa of the Philippines that allows foreign nationals that are 50 years old and over to stay in the Philippines indefinitely. They don't have to be married to a Philippine citizen, nor do they have to stay here for a particular amount of time. If you have the right documents, you come here day one in the Philippines, you can apply for this visa. Now, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Stick around, grab a cup of coffee. Let's get down to business. All right, number one. Is a U.S. notary accepted if I can't get an apostille for my pension document and DD 214? The answer is yes. The Philippine Retirement Authority, or the PRA, accepts notary from the U.S. consulate or the U.S. embassy. Now, this would be a great option for those expats that are already here in the Philippines and just wants to get started with their paperwork. Because there are people that didn't really have the idea of the SRV before they came here. Now, what documents do you need an apostille or a notary for? Now, this would be the documents issued from your home country. For example, if you are qualified under the SRV Expanded Courtesy for Military, the foreign documents in that category would be your DD 214, the pension document, plus the police check from your home country. Now, those documents needs to be authenticated for them to be recognized here in the Philippines. Now, there are two ways for them to be authenticated. Number one would be at the state office in your country, have them apostilled. Now, if you're already here in the Philippines, you can have them notarized at the U.S. consulate or the U.S. embassy in Manila. Either way, it's acceptable. All right, number two. Can I get the medical check done abroad? The answer is yes. You do actually have an option to get the medical clearance requirement from your home country. The thing is, you just need to have them authenticated before you travel to the Philippines. And that's the apostille. What I suggest is just do it here in the Philippines because it's very cheap and very fast. And you don't even actually have to book an appointment. In most cases, you just need to bring the PRA medical certificate, bring it to a clinic, for example, High Precision. You bring it there, you show the laboratory tests that you need, you take the test, and after a day, you get the results and then you go to a doctor. And after that, they will sign the PRA medical certificate, and then you're done. If that is issued in the Philippines, then there's no need for you to have them notarized at the U.S. consulate or the U.S. embassy because it's a Philippine issued document. There's no need for them to be authenticated. Number three, is there an interview when applying for the SRV similar to the 13A visa? The answer is yes. This is an additional step they added into the process because before there's no interview. Right now they do. But these would just be personal questions or basic questions. Questions like how long have you been in the Philippines in total? How did you know about the Philippines, or how did you know about the SRV program? Those type of stuff. So it's just like pre-qualifying the applicants for the SRV application. So yeah, so the answer is yes. There's an interview. It's very easy. All right, number four. My wife and I, both American, plan to retire in the Philippines. Do we each need to make a separate deposit? We are in our mid 50s and receive a private pension, but do not have Social Security yet. The question that you have, do we each need to make a separate deposit as husband and wife? The answer is no. In the SRV program, the deposit actually covers three applicants, one of which would be the principal visa holder, then could be the wife, and then one child. Now, let's say you're qualified under the SRV Classic category with the 10,000 visa deposit because you just said you have a private pension. Now, the 10,000 covers three applicants. If you have, let's say, two children, that's going to add up to the list. So that's going to be a total of four applicants. The excess of the initial three, you would have to add additional 15,000 visa deposit. Not 1,500, but 15,000 deposit. If there's only three of you, husband, wife, and one child, the 10,000 visa deposit will actually cover it. However, each dependent must pay a separate one-time application fee. Now it's $300 each dependent. So $300 for the spouse and $300 for the child. So that's going to be an additional $600 on top of the $1,400. Now, the annual renewal fee. Now, the 360, for example, for the SRV Classic category, the 360 would actually cover 3 applicants. If there's an excess of one, then that's going to be $100 per year additional. But if there's only 3 of you, the 360 is going to cover all of you. Okay, number 5. I don't like the idea of keeping my 20,000 visa deposit with the government. Someone told me I could open my account and keep the deposit there. But the bank said I need permanent residency and an ACR card. I'm confused about which comes first, the visa or the bank account. How should I proceed to obtain the SRRV? In applying for the SRV, it involves putting in the money in a locked-in account. Now that is the deposit. Now the deposit stays there for as long as you have the visa. Well, except if you want to convert it into an active investment. But in normal cases, it's going to stay there for as long as you hold the SRV. Now, this guy doesn't want his money to be held by a government bank account. Now, in putting in the deposit, there are 2 options actually. The first obvious option, which is very easy, and that's what most people choose, is the deposit will be sent over to the account of the Philippine Retirement Authority. Now, that is an existing bank. It's not a new account that they will open every time they apply, but it is an existing account under the PRA. It's in the Development Bank of the Philippines. It is an existing bank account where all the applicants, retirees, have their deposits there. And that's going to be extremely easy because you don't need to open an account to put the deposit in. There is an existing bank account under the PRA where you just need to ask the PRA the bank details, and then you can send the money there. And you just contact the PRA if the money went through. Now, option 2, this might be the answer for this guy, is for him to open an account. The problem that he had is that the bank required him to get a permanent residency first before he is allowed to open an account. Now, he might be asking the bank for a savings account. Now, for this option 2 that I'm going to explain to you is that you will be opening a security deposit account under the PRA's request. So, before you can even open your own account for the purpose of getting the SRV, you need to get a letter from the PRA, and that letter might take 1 to 2 weeks. You request it to the PRA, you wait 1 to 2 weeks, you get the physical letter by mail, and then you bring that letter physically to the accredited bank of the PRA, and then you can open an account. Take note that that is not a savings account, it is a time deposit account or a security deposit account. And once you have the account, you can then send the money there. And then the bank will issue a certificate of inward remittance, and it will be internally sent to the PRA, notifying them the money came in or the money went through. So you don't really have to be involved in checking if the certificate is issued because the banks will do it internally. Your job is to only have the bank confirmed if the money went through. Okay, to the guy asking this could be the answer to your question. Number 6. If I get the SRV and later marry a Filipina, am I required to convert my SRV to a 13A visa? The answer is no. The Philippine government will not require you to convert your SRV visa to a 13A in the event that you will be married. Because even if you're still under a tourist visa and then you get married, you don't have to apply for the 13A if that visa doesn't fit in your best interest, because who knows, you might be traveling a lot of times and you don't really need a 13A. So that's the case. Now, applying for the 13A is a voluntary action. It is not a mandatory process that you need to undergo if you get married. So if you get married to a Philippine citizen, you have an option to apply for the 13A, but you are not obliged to get the 13A. And I hope that clears things up. Okay, number 7. I'm flying to the Philippines in a couple of months and plan to apply for the SRV immediately. Do I still need to purchase a return ticket? The answer is yes, technically, because you are entering here as a tourist. Regardless of how complete your documents are, or even if you have paid the visa deposit for the SRV, if you're entering here as a tourist, then you'd still have to follow the rules of being a tourist. Well, unfortunately, there's no way for you to go around that rule because the Philippine government will base everything from the day you arrive in the Philippines, regardless what your intention is after that. Also, you don't have to purchase a return ticket. What most people do, would be buying the cheapest ticket that they can get, let's say Taiwan, and when they arrive in the Philippines, they just throw the ticket away. And number two, the onwardticket.com. I'm not sure if that's legit, but most people tell me that it's legit. But always do your due diligence, please. Number eight, a real estate agent told me that buying a property could help me obtain permanent residency in the Philippines. When I asked if this was through the SRV, she said yes. Is that true? The answer is no. Buying a piece of condominium doesn't really help you obtain permanent residency or the SRV, because even if you don't buy a property or even if you don't have property in the Philippines, you can still get the SRV. For example, if you buy a condominium, it doesn't really like give you an advantage in terms of processing your paperwork. There's no like advantage. You're not skipping a certain step just to get the visa. No, you'll still have to undergo the same process like other people do in order to get the SRV. I could only imagine the amount of things that a real estate agent would tell you just to close the sale. I'm not saying all agents are bad, but there are some people who will tell you the things that you wanted to hear, not what you needed to hear, because that's going to mess up the sale. For example, if you bought the condominium from the agent, and if you're going to ask me if there is a way to leverage the condominium towards your SRV, my answer is going to be different because there is a way for you to leverage that condominium, and it is called the conversion. And take note that some people don't consider this as an advantage because the conversion process looks like this. The PRA will return your visa deposit to you, but they will get a hold of your condominium. That means it's exclusive to you. They will not allow you to sell the condominium nor have it rented out. So if you're just gonna use your condominium for like personal dwelling or personal use, then it doesn't really affect you. But if you're the type of investor that wants to sell it in a couple of years, then it's gonna be a problem. Okay, here's how the conversion works from scratch. Let's say you have two pockets. In the left pocket, this is the pocket where you will pull your own money, you put it in a deposit, and then you get the SRV. Now, in the conversion, you cannot use the money from this pocket right here to pay for the condominium. No, you would have to use the money from your right pocket. That means another sum of money. You pull out the money from there and then you buy a condominium. Once you gain ownership of that condominium, that is when you will process the conversion. So the PRA will require you to process a certain paperwork, and then the deeds office, which is a separate government office of the Philippines, will restrict the condominium. And once there is a restriction, you will then show that restriction to the PRA. And once they see it, then the PRA will return your visa deposit. Now that is a way that you can leverage your condominium. However, if you need to sell the condominium that you have that is restricted, you would have to send the money back from the PRA and then they will allow you to sell that property. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. Okay, number 9. Do I really need to surrender my passport for the SRV processing? The answer is yes. And they will keep your passport from the day you submit it until the day it is done. So from start to finish, they will keep your passport. That means you cannot exit the country. You can travel domestically, but you cannot exit the country. One of the reasons why they will keep your passport is for the implementation. Basically, the implementation is putting the approved visa on your physical passport. Now, from that day forward, you are now an official resident of the Philippines. Because even if your application has been approved and it's not on your passport, you're not you're still a tourist at that point. You are not considered the visa status that you're applying for. You're still a tourist. So that's why they will keep your passport. So by the time that the visa application is approved, they will then put or implement the visa that you applied for, which is the SRV, on your passport. Last question, number 10. Is it true that applicants don't need to get a police clearance if they are 70 years old? The answer is yes. 70-year-old and above applicants are exempt from submitting a police check from their home country. Take note, the PRA might still require these applicants if they find something in their paperwork. I don't know what it is, but they might still require you. Yeah, and I do think that that is globally acceptable. Because, for example, if I'm a Filipino going to a different country and apply for a residency, I would assume that that country will require me in submitting police check in the Philippines to make sure that I don't have an active crime here. I mean, that's fine for me. Anyway, going back to the question, the answer is yes. 70-year-old and above applicants are exempt from submitting a police check from their home country. Also, let's say if you are exempt from submitting a police check from your home country, you will still need to get an NBI clearance here in the Philippines. It is a police check here. So, if you have stayed here for more than 30 days, at least that's what the website says, if you have stayed here in the Philippines for more than 30 days from your arrival, then you would have to get the NBI clearance here in the Philippines. But I do think it's 90 days now. If you haven't went over that time frame, then you are not required to get the NBI clearance, and that's going to make the process much easier. Well, that's 10 questions answered. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you learned something today. But before I end this video, I want to let you know that the ebook that I've made has been updated. So there's a free SRRV ebook that I made, links in the description. If you want to learn more about the process, go download that book. It costs $0. It's completely free. But if you want to send donations to the channel, you can, but it's not an obligation. Anyway, guys, again, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate your support. And to those people who have sent donations to the channel, I am truly grateful. If you have questions about the SRV or other Philippine visas, let me know in the comment section, or you can also send me an email at vin.philippines@gmail.com. And until then, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. Peace.